Check it, we got ourselves a suspension. Suntour SR4. Oh, this is specialized. What kind of specialized is this? It's a pitch. What? This is your mountain bike. Alright, it's in for a tune-up. This is a grocery bike, e-bike of a customer of mine, and we're going to give it some TLC, bring it up to almost like new. After this.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary out of used, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe.
Welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles on this old bike series. Hey, I'm Justin the Guy, and we're going to take a look at this specialized pitch that came in for a tune-up. We're going to do some detailing work on the frame, check out the wheels, check out the rotors and the brakes. The chain is stretched on this one as a check through list, like a service writer would do in a sense. We got a chain that's going to go on, and we're going to have to double check that cassette, make sure it works with that new chain. Clean those derailleurs and make sure it's all fit for its next riding experience. Well, what kind of bike is a pitch? Well, typically it's a mountain bike, right, for off-road, but this individual bought it for recreational, more grocery, run around town type bicycle. This person lives in Boulder, so pretty much, if you've never heard of Boulder, Boulder's a town that's kind of really hippie-ish back in the 70s, and now, fast forward to now, we call it the People's Republic of Boulder, which is they're a little breed of individuals that live there, and it's its own kind of colony of bike shop people too, which there's like a bike shop on every corner, as my dad would say. But anyway, not talking about Boulder too much, but talking about the actual bike. If you live in a place like Boulder where biking has become pretty much a necessity because parking is crap and you don't have a car or whatever the case may be, cycling is usually the next best thing than public transportation. So that being said, a lot of people have a recreational bike for going to the store, going to the restaurants, and out to have a good time that they have some money in, but not too much. But this is actually pretty nice. In other case, they'll have another bike for longer rides or mountain biking or whatever the case may be. But we're going to get this one some brand new life and get it up to speed and literally clean it up after this. So you're probably asking yourself, what differentiates between different bike tune-ups, right? Road bike versus mountain bike versus hybrid. Yeah, there's a little bit of nuances between them, but usually, most bike shops will have that package that covers all those genres. Well, there's some extra lift if it's a full suspension and a front suspension, which they will look at those suspensions as a separate add-on a la carte job because it is a job in itself. A lot of times the shocks will be taken off and sent out to be taken to a place where all they do is work on suspension. Dirt Labs in Longmont is another place in Longmont, Colorado that does it. Truck has their own in-house facilities that they'll ship to. That is one of those situations where they kind of have to do that. Why? Costs. You just can't train those individuals at every location to do all those different shocks and have the tooling for everything. So it's easier to put it all in one spot and have that individual, even including myself. If I had a suspension and the customer wanted me to have it worked on, it's like, well, if it's something that I don't have tools for or have the knowledge as well, but there's a lot of knowledge added to on top of what you already need to know. Yeah, I would send it down to Dirt Labs in Longmont, like, hey, you guys do this. I'll be back in a couple days to pick it up. Therefore, they have the expertise, they have the tools, they do it, boom, wham, bam, there you go. And then we put it right back on the bike, and I do the final touches as brakes, derailleurs, hubs, headset, and bottom bracket, all those other high lift things, truing the wheels, all those other things that I've been trained and working with over the last 30 years. So therefore, that's the only really kind of difference between that kind of road bike where it has pretty much everything in my wheelhouse versus suspension. I'll put a fork on, of course, but in the sense of actually doing the internal services and so forth, I'm going to leave it to another set of experts because I have expertise on what I do. It's kind of like when you go to the dentist and they say, yeah, you need a root canal. You need to go somewhere else to have that done. Same kind of thing. Unfortunately, it stings. It does take a little more time out of the equation. And therefore, buyer beware on used bikes with used full suspension or front suspension bikes. If they don't have those tuned up, you may have to have that cost on you when you purchase it. You don't know what you don't know in a suspension. And if the customer or the person that you're buying it from has bought it from a second-hand bike, you can almost guarantee you're going to have to pay for that work. Just throwing it out there. But back to this one. The pitch. Many models of the Specialized line and many different mountain bikes that they carry. The pitch is actually a decent one. I believe these are 27 and a half, not 29ers. So they have a 27 line, which was the pitch, and then they have another model, Crave, I think it was, which is the 29ers. Correct me if I'm wrong, throw in the comments below if you're listening. But anywho, I'm not here to talk about debate models or whatever, but what I see in front of me, this is what I'm working on. Pretty straightforward, three gears up front, which is in my wheelhouse. I love triples. And you got your 9-speed in the back. This has a Sarah componentry mountain bike Altus mix, which is pretty decent. But it does have a hydraulic brakes, which is a nice little upgrade. To get into a bike that has hydraulic brakes as a mountain bike, you're looking like $1,000 to $1,200 bucks. So, in my opinion, mechanical disc brakes, they're okay. But if you can get into hydraulics, that's way much better for everybody involved, even though it's more of a mechanical lift, because you'll have to bleed the brakes, which I'm not doing on this, but I'll be cleaning the pads and checking the rotors. Bleeding brakes is another thing, which is a la carte extra upcharge for a lot of shops, including myself, because it's just time consuming. That's really what it comes down to. It's another whole 20-30 minutes per brake to fuss with it and make sure it works correctly. So anywho, and it's something you can do yourself. Park Tools has some beautiful videos on bleeding brakes and various other videos out there for the manufacturer. I would try to go straight to the horse's mouth as possible in a sense of how to bleed their systems. If it's Cerams or Parks or not Parks, I'm sorry, Park Tools has their own kits and so forth, and they'll teach you how to use it. So anywho, sidebar. Onto the bike. So what do I do with a mountain bike? Well, very similar to I do a road bike. I'm going to pull the wheels, true the hubs, clean the wheels up, and true the rims. Even though they're disc, you don't have a rim brake surface, you still want those boogers to be true as possible. And true the actually rotor is another step, is actually checking that rotor, make sure it doesn't bounce back and forth. You try to do as best as you can, and nothing's going to ever make it back to the straight rotor until you replace it with a brand new rotor. Just saying. But brake pads on this, he says he's going to replace them himself at a later time, but at this point I'm going to clean these ones up and give him those performance until he has time to replace those. Unless I tear it apart and realize there's no material left, and be like, dude, buy those pads, drop them off, I'll do everything I can until that point. We'll throw them in there and do adjustment when you come pick up the bike. That's what we'll say, if it comes to that case. But we'll review that when I review the parts. All right, so now let's get interruption. There is more. More, you say? Push the more button. Push it. Push it. I dare you to push it. Once you push that button, you get more details about the video you are watching, in addition to all the tools that I use in the shop, as well as suggestion for improving your ride. In addition to help me provide advocacy in the cycling community, also links to other social media accounts as well as my website to find the products I actually sell and other insights in the industry. Other videos linked below. Extend your cycling experience here on YouTube. And now back to your original programming. Popping wheels. Well, you want to throw this chain down on the small cog that throws the drag out of the way so you can get the wheel to drop out. With disc brakes, you don't have to worry about any mechanical disassembling to open up the calipers for the wheel to drop out. This will do it in itself. And I got to see if I can, oh man, see how they have that skewer really tight up against the frame. I usually like to have a little bit of gap there. It's just a little bit easier to get to, especially if it gets on there really tight. And pulling the derailleur down, that opens up the wheel to like so. This does not have a clutch system. If it had a clutch system, you have to pull that clutch up for the derailleur to do this. Reason being is that clutch is going to hold it in place, and you'd be fighting that, trying to get the wheel off, which you don't want to fight anything on the back here, because you got this little dainty piece called a derailleur hanger. And this derailleur hanger, there's a reason why it's replaceable. They use a softer material on these, so if it does get whacked real hard, it snaps the derailleur hanger, replaceable one, and then you can just get a new $20 derailleur hanger bit and screw it back in. That is a softer material than the frame. No bones about it. That is going to be a softer material. Reason being, they want this to fail first before the actual frame. Back in the day, we didn't have these, and when this got snapped, toast. It's done. It's toast. But so it's a great invention, but it does have its limitations in a sense that it is a softer material, so it might get out of whack a little bit easier. That's why we have a derailleur hanger tool to line those up. But on the other hand, sometimes these are brittle, like on some of the Trek models, where you even just try to adjust it with a derailleur hanger tool, and it snaps, and you're like, oh, shucky darn, got to get a new one. So anyway. That's a little bit of ammo on that, and I'll pull the brake pads here soon, and I will take out the chain to give it a little bit of a cleaner refresh. Well, actually I'm replacing the chain on this one back up. I'm cleaning this in ultrasonic cleaner, and possibly this if I feel inclined to. Another thing for hydraulic brakes is you don't want to push the lever when the wheel is out of the dropouts. Reason being is they will press those cylinders out, then you'll have to reset it. If I do it by accident, well, I'm going to reset them anyway, and most likely, so that's not the case. This one has a quick release, so you need to get past those lawyer tabs for the wheel to drop out. Ooh, that's a short skewer. And it also doesn't have skewer springs, which is fine. They work just fine without them, but it makes it a little bit easier because it equalizes that skewer back and forth. So, yeah, it should work. Anywho, yeah, we'll be pulling these pads out, and let's just show you how that's done. First, you want to put a towel down where you're putting those pads so you know where they're going to be going. And here this has a little bendy thing. A lot of them are screwed, but these are kind of bend over. Pull that down, and you pull this out. That's the pin that holds it in place. Don't lose track of that. These pads slide down, and it'll be a spring inside like so. What we have here is some pretty worn out pads. They're pretty low profile, but still a little bit of meat left on there, so we're okay. Once this is gone, that means you're basically going metal on a rotor, which is not good on your rotors whatsoever. So yeah, we are really needing to replace these. So he will definitely let me know, but I can at least get those to work for now. So onto the rear here. Same thing, got to push that pin flush. It's kind of hard to do sometimes, but get us some needle nose or a pair of, it's not rocket science, unfortunately, and it's not a specialty tool to flatten that out. So you get that to go down so you can pull that pin out like so. Same thing, these guys slide out, and what we're looking for is a little bit of meat, which there's a little bit of meat left on both of these, pretty close. That one you kind of see that's missing its chunkage, but yeah, those will probably clean up enough and still be workable. Do a few more rides, but I will be cleaning the inside of this with rubbing alcohol and cleaning the pads as well as rubbing alcohol, and then burning them off the rubbing alcohol with a torch, getting all those contaminants off. As for the chain, it has a power link on here, so I can use the power link, Pro Link, Quick Link tool and pop that off. I will be saving this chain to measure the new chain, just to give it a good eyeball, and I'll double check it also before running through all those gears, or at least riding it so I don't shear anything off with too short of a chain. So here we have it. Oh, this cable is all kinds of boogered up. What I might do on this guy is interesting. It works. It's one long cable to the back. I will basically be selling him a new cable because this one's going to be, the frayed one there is not great anyway, so we're going to clip that. Because we need a clean cut to pull that cable out so we're not damaging the internal of the housing all the way back. That's toast. Take the housing, and this is zip tied. It's all one big piece, so, and there we're going to take the rear derailleur off so we can throw an ultrasonic cleaner like so. And we'll be scraping off all that little extra gunk. Give a little pre-treatment spray to loosen up that dirt that we're looking at, and give it a good clean with ultrasonic cleaner. For the front derailleur, this guy still has its cable in, which is good. This just slides down out of the way, so I don't have to worry about cutting anything. And then this anchor bolt on the inside, I use a longer Allen wrench. This will bump up against the frame. And I'm going to take this off to clean it. I can't get into all these things. And I don't like spraying right onto the frame. So I'd rather opt to take it off and clean it right. Got to do it right, right? I mean, that's the only reason why we're here. And try to do it right the first time. If we're lucky. It's not, yeah, sometimes it doesn't all work out. He does have some really good gunk and grit on here, so we will try to clean it up and get some of that rust off, get that Altus front derailleur to come back to life. And looking at the crank, I can't get into all these bits, so same thing. Going to take these crank arms off. It just makes it easier for me to get into cleaning all the dirty spots of the bottom bracket. And that will definitely be better. And also cleaning the crankset here will definitely help out. Shifting and all that good stuff. You don't want those contaminants getting all over the place. So, woo, there we go. Clean those up, put them in the basket. All right, so we're going to do a crank puller. This is a square crank puller, which is we're going to be using our Parks CCP 22. Thread this guy in until it hits the bottom back, which I'm going to have to use just a wrench to tighten this guy up. Because if I pull it now, what it's going to do is strip those threads out, and we don't want that. I should probably take the pedals off and make this a little easier for me. So, this is why this is a shorter reach on this tool. It's not longer. That's why it's harder for leverage to get. Sometimes you have to use a cheater to get that to move. Good thing I have one. This is my Gary Fisher Ultimate Being cheater. Oh my goodness. Alright, once that is off, oh man, that was a booger. But anyway, this is what you're trying to protect. Making that tool threads in the side there. You want to make sure you don't booger those up. Clean that guy off. Let's try the drive side and see if that's less of a nightmare. You know, make sure your tool gets in there all the way. You see how dirty it is in there? We're going to try to get all that cleaned up. So we're going to guide the tool in there. Make sure you don't cross thread it. There's alloy versus hardened steel, so you want to make sure you don't force that over the threads, and hopefully we are not compacted on there like the other side. And these tools are short-handled, which leaves much desired for leverage. Like so. Boop. Voila. Big tube. Big cheater. Every shop has one. Guarantee you. Oh, they probably sell professional grade ones, but what's a, old defective Gary Fisher down tube of a mountain bike worked just fine. Here we go. Need to clean this bad boy up. Ugh. All right, so we got it pretty much disassembled as much as I'm going to disassemble this for an entry-level tune-up. And we're going to just basically clean from here on out. After I've done the cleaning, we'll review the parts and see what I came across, if there's anything that's pretty detrimental or actually worked out pretty good. And then we'll reassemble and recap after that. So yeah, let's check what I've done after cleaning all these parts. Whew, that wore me out. Let's dive into this. Well, here we go. We got a super clean cassette. Super clean crankset. Derailleurs have been cleaned. Just need to lube the pivots. Ooh, those brake pads. They are pretty low, but they are been cleaned off. And yep, the front wheel, true. Rotors weren't too bad. Front hub did need a little squirt of grease, which was, where'd you go? There you go. Over here. And it was pretty dry. Let's take a look here. So the hub itself was pretty dry, so I saw some bearing grease in there to kind of give it a little more life, which is pretty common track practice. Kind of it dries out. So anywho, those wheels are ready to go, and this guy is cleaning up really good. Got the ceramic coating on this guy. I decided to go with that. Just need to polish it off. We'll do that in a moment. Whoa, wait a second. What's this? That's a big old kink. And you see some scarring here. What happened was chain got caught. This got caught up in the crankset and bent this housing. Unfortunately, this housing piece is one length all the way through the frame, all the way to the shifter. So we're going to have to replace that whole piece. That's not going to shift very well, and just to let that go is not professional at all. So that will need to be replaced. Not a too tremendous expensive lift. The cable, which we mentioned, needed to be replaced anyway. So the housing piece, I don't know, it's a couple bucks per foot, but when you're talking about the whole thing, it's about 5 feet. So it's probably going to be about $10 worth of housing, a couple bucks for the cable, but pretty small, expensive lift considering I'm already dived into this far. So got to do it right, right? Let's review. Well, here we have it. We're gone through like 2/3 of the process, I would say. Cleaning, taking apart, cleaning the parts, getting it all true and ready to be reassembled. That's about 2/3 of the actual process of doing a tune-up. Now, doing a little extra something, doing like the polishing on the frame. And I'm taking a clean fiber cloth here and just wipe it off. I did a 3-layer system on this, stacking of the ceramic while I was doing those parts, cleaning them, and also put a nice light coating on the rims as well to kind of protect them and give them a little extra shine. A little extra over or above. It's just kind of one of those things that I've dived into the polishing, detailing of the bike frames and parts, and might as well add to it. Well, it's kind of practice as well as experimenting in a sense, using the tune-ups as that. With that being said, it's the customer definitely benefits the extra work that I put into detailing and so forth, and also cleaning the parts and not really skipping over anything that a lot of shops would do. A tune-up like this in your local neighborhood of doing this kind of level drivetrain clean with the polishing of the frame and doing some other little extras, gonna cost you a couple $100 easily, depending on the corporate store versus your hometown. I do have a special running. This guy had a couple bikes in the mix, so cut him a little bit of deal. Anywho, that's what I'm gonna do with the parts once I reassemble and get it all ready to go. Get those lubed up, get the cable and housing replaced, and see where we have the outcome. So check out these pictures after this. But if you like videos like this, smash those buttons. And if it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. It's just, just do it. It's really good for you. And again, thank you for hanging out with me in the garage. Until next time, but after this, check out these beautiful pictures and final results.